Welcome to Raj Online Trainings. In the series of Spring Framework and Spring Boot full course tutorial, today let us go with one more new module and very important module, that is Spring ORM module. So what is this ORM? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping, and in this video we are going to integrate with Hibernate. We are going to integrate our Spring with what? Hibernate framework, as Hibernate is an ORM framework. So let us understand more of this Spring ORM module, and we'll go with an example application how Spring can integrate with Hibernate. So what is this ORM? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapping, and Hibernate is an ORM framework. Hibernate is what? It's a ORM framework. Means we take a object. For example, if you are having a employee object, we give this object to Hibernate. Hibernate will take care of inserting that object into a database table. We can even take the record from database table, and using Hibernate we can give it back to employee object. Both the directions are possible. Playing with objects only, this Hibernate or ORM framework. Object means the object what we are using. Relational means a database table. Since we are mapping this object and relation, that's the reason the name has come, Object Relational Mapping, and Hibernate is one of the ORM framework. And how to go with this Spring ORM module, or how to integrate Spring Hibernate is, we use a class here, Hibernate template class. Hibernate template class of Spring API is used for Spring Hibernate. How we can work with Spring Hibernate? By using a class Hibernate template class. Now let us go with the complete example application on this. Open Eclipse, and in our project, Spring project, in pom.xml file, add these dependencies. I have already added to save the time. So here we need to add a Spring ORM module, this one Spring ORM module. We need to add Spring transaction, Spring TX, and one more Hibernate. As we are going to integrate with Hibernate, we need to add this Hibernate dependency, and already we have added MySQL connector. So these four dependencies are required. These four dependencies are required in order to work with Spring ORM module. Of course, we require the Spring context. So already we have seen these all things in the previous video. For today's module, Spring ORM module, I have added these three dependencies: Spring ORM, Spring TX, and Hibernate core. These three dependencies I have added in pom.xml file. Now, once we add these dependencies, our next step is, let us go with a entity class. So to go with this complete ORM, let me create a new package under src main Java. Let us create one new package, com.spring.orm. I'm going with the package name ORM. In this, let us create a new entity class. Let us go with the class. Let me go with employee. Let us go with employee. Any class you can take: employee, student, customer, book, anything, any type of class you can take. The way we work will remain same. Now go with this employee class, which we call it as entity class. Now go with the properties like private int employee ID, private string employee name, private int employee salary. Now generate getters and setters. Right click and say source, generate getters and setters, select all, generate. Now how to map this class with the table? How to mark it as entity class? By using which annotation? @entity. @entity annotation is used to map this class with the database table. And if you want to change the name of the table, @table. We are going with the name of the table, like, let me go with the name employee info. We are going with the table name employee info. Now to mark this employee ID as primary key, @ID, and to change the column name, @column name equal to, we'll say emp_id. Let us even change the column names for other properties. @column name equal to emp_name, and here @column name equal to emp_salary. Just even we are changing the column names with different names over here. emp_id, emp_name, and emp_salary. So this completes our entity class. Import the respective packages. So these are the package details. Now our next step is we need to do a planning, like what methods are required in order to operate our database. So for that, let us create one interface under the package, under the com.spring.orm package. Let us go with the interface. Let me say employee DAO. Employee DAO. Here we go with the methods. Let us go with the methods like public void insert employee, where we take employee object as argument. Then public void update employee, which takes employee object as argument. Then public void delete employee by ID. Delete employee by ID, where we provide our employee ID. Based on our employee ID, we are going to delete that particular record here, particular object, you can say. Public void delete employee. We pass directly the employee object. What is the employee object we give? That particular record should get deleted. Then public employee get employee by ID. So when we call this method get employee by ID, and if you provide the employee ID, that record should get returned to us. That object should get returned. And one more method, public list employee get all employees. When we call the method get all employees, it should return all the records present in our employee table, and it will return in the form of list employee. Import the package for list java.util. Right? So these are the operations what we are going to perform on our employee table, and for that we have created this interface employee DAO. Now let us implement this interface. For that, to create the implementation class, to create the Spring Bean class, here right click on this com.spring.orm and say new class. Let me go with the name employee DAO IMPL. Employee DAO IMPL. Say finish. Now make this class implements employee DAO. Now just keep mouse pointer on this error and add here unimplemented methods. So these are the methods here. Now, and which class we use for Spring Hibernate? The class what we use for Spring Hibernate is what? Hibernate template class. We make use of the class. Go with the property Hibernate template. So here Hibernate template. Now mark it as @autovoid. In the last video we have seen about auto wiring. So when we say @autovoid, no need to generate setter injection or constructor injection. Now import the package for this Hibernate template. So this Hibernate template belongs to the package org.springframework.orm.hibernate5. Now by using this Hibernate template only, we do all these operations. Now let us go with the methods. So here we are going to do the transactions. Insert, update, and delete, we call them as transactions. So above these methods, use the annotation @transactional. @transactional. Above all these methods, not this package. Go with this one. org.springframework.transaction.annotation.transactional. This package we need to use for this @transactional annotation. Similar way, apply this @transactional for all these methods: insert, update, delete, and delete employee, delete by ID, everything. So for this get employee by ID, get all employees, it is not required. So transaction is allowed only for, is applied only for insert, update, and delete only. Now go to this insert employee. So whatever the employee object we give to this insert employee method, by using Hibernate template, using safe method, and if you pass the object, this method will take care of inserting this object into the table. Okay. Next one, update employee. So when you go to this update employee, by using Hibernate template, we use the method update and pass the object. So this update method will take care of updating this employee object. Then delete employee by ID. So when you go with the method delete employee by ID, first of all, let us get the record from the table based on this employee ID. So for that we'll say employee emp equal to, using Hibernate template, call the method get and provide the entity class employee.class and provide your employee ID. So based on the given employee ID, this get method will connect to our employee class, means the entity class, which internally connected to the employee info table. From employee info table, based on this primary key employee ID, it's going to return the record. That record will come and store into this EMP object. Now, by using Hibernate template, by using the method delete, we can pass the object which you want to delete. So this will take care of deleting the employee object based on primary key. Now the next method, delete employee, directly we are passing employee object over here. So directly we are giving object here. So directly by using Hibernate template, call the method delete and pass your object. Simple. Now get employee by ID. So here just you can say return Hibernate template dot get, provide your entity class name employee.class and provide your employee ID. So based on the employee ID, using get method, it's going to return the record in the form of employee object. Then the last one, get all employees. So here simply we have to say return Hibernate template dot load all method. To this we have to provide our entity class employee.class. So this will connect to our employee info table, pick up all the records from table, and that record will be written in the form of list employee. So these are the database operations what we have performed on our entity class employee, which internally connected to our employee info table. Now our next important step is we need to inject this Hibernate template. So how to inject? By going with Spring XML configuration file. So the next important step is create Spring XML configuration file. A way to create under resources, src main resources, right click and say new other XML file. Let me go with the name Spring Hibernate.xml. Take the template, Spring XML template, copy this template, paste it over here. Right, this is the template. So you can easily take the template from this video also. Okay, you can easily, I'm showing the complete screen to you so that you can easily make a note of this. Okay. Now, as we are using annotations in our Spring Bean class, we have to use one element here, that is context colon annotation hyphen config. Right? Whenever we are using annotations in our Spring Bean class, we have to use this element. Now, start doing the configuration. We start bean id equal to com.spring.orm.employee or Spring id equal to emp. It's an object of class com.spring.orm.employee DAO IMPL. So in the test class, when you refer to this bean id emp, it returns object of employee DAO IMPL. And since we have made this Hibernate template as auto void, no need to go with any property element or constructor arg here. That is not required, as we have done with what? @auto void. So when you do with this @auto void, then it's automatically search for the bean whose ID is Hibernate template. So create a bean here. Bean ID equal to Hibernate template. It's an object of class Hibernate template class. This Hibernate template class belongs to the package org.springframework.orm.hibernate5 package. Copy this package detail from here and paste over here. Right now, this Hibernate template goes with a property name, session factory, reference, session factory. Now for every reference, we have to create a bean. Bean ID equal to session factory. It's an object of class local session factory bean. Local session factory bean belongs to the same package, this one, same org.springframework.orm.hibernate5. Copy from here and paste it here. In local session factory bean, it goes with the property name, data source, reference, data source. It goes with some more properties like property name, Hibernate properties. So provide the Hibernate properties here, like props property key equal to Hibernate.dialect. Dialect means when we are using the methods, here we are using the methods like save, update, get. So internally this will get converted into the respective SQL commands. So which database syntax it has to follow, that is the meaning of dialect. As we are going to connect to MySQL, provide the MySQL dialect here, that is org.hibernate.dialect.mysql dialect. The next property key equal to hibernate.showSQL. Hibernate.showSQL true means when you want to see the SQL commands, then we'll say it as true. Then property key equal to hibernate.hbm2ddl.auto. Let us go with update. So to go with the tables, automatically we'll see update here. Update is mainly to use existing tables. Then it goes with one more property name. Here it is annotated classes. So annotated classes. Here we have to provide the entity class names here. So which entity class we are using? Employee. So provide this entity class name. As we are using annotations, here we have to use the element name annotated classes. Provide the list of annotated classes. Here we have created only one entity class. Provide the value com.annotated spring.orm.employee, right? So this completes our local session factory bean, and in that it goes with a property data source. So go with a bean id equal to data source. It's an object of class driver manager data source. This driver manager data source belongs to the package org.springframework.jdbc.data source. In driver manager data source, provide all the database connection properties like property name, driver class name, value, com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. The next one, property name, URL, value, jdbc colon, mysql colon, / localhost colon 3306 / springdb. We are using the database springdb. Next property name, username, value, root. Then one more property name, password, value, root. So this completes our data source where we get the database connection to MySQL database here. Then one more bean we require here, that is for transactions. So go with one more element here, tx colon annotation driven transaction manager. Transaction manager, we are going with the name transaction manager. Now create a bean id equal to transaction manager. It's an object of class Hibernate transaction manager. Present in the package org.springframework.orm.hibernate file. Then here we go with the property name session factory, reference session factor means, so for this session factory we are applying the transaction. Why this element is required? We are going with this local session factory, the session factory. For this we are applying the transaction. That is the need of going with this elements here, right? So this completes our Spring Bean XML configuration file. Now in the test class, when you refer to this EMP, it returns object of employee DAO IMPL with a property Hibernate template with a property session factory. Session factory, we provide Hibernate properties and even we refer to data source, right? Then this Hibernate template is now ready with what? Database connection. This property is ready with the database connection. Now let us test the total application. Let us test it now. Now create a test class. Right click on com.spring.orm and say new class. Let us go with the name Spring Hibernate test with main method. Load the Spring Bean XML configuration file. Application context equal to new class path XML application context. To this we need to provide our Spring Bean XML configuration file, which is spring hibernate.xml. Import the packages. Now say here employee DAO equal to context.getBean and pass your bean ID EMP. So when you say context.getBean EMP goes to XML file, based on this EMP it returns object of employee DAO IMPL with a property Hibernate template. So that will come and store into this reference. Since getBean method returns object, go with typecasting. Now create object of employee class. set the values. emp dot set employee id, I'll say 101. emp dot set employee name, we'll say some Smith. emp dot set salary, we'll go with some 8,000. Now the object is ready with values. Now how to insert this object into table? Using DAO dot, we have to call the method insert employee and pass your object here. Now run this code. That's unable to load this. So it's going with Hibernate 5. It's going with Hibernate 5 here package. Let us change the dependencies here. So we'll be getting the version problems. Mainly the version problems will be occurring. So as it is taking Hibernate 5, let us go with the version. Here let us go with the version 5.1.0 release. Release. Let us take the same version for this transaction also. Okay, so these are the dependencies. Let us test this application again. Right. Now it's unable to create the table. Table employed springdb.employee info does not exist. It's unable to create the table. Let us create this table manually. Let us create the table manually. Create table employee info, which takes the fields like employee ID, int of 3, emp underscore name, varchar of 10, then emp underscore salary, int of 4. So we are creating table. Okay, database selection we have to do now. Use Spring DB. Now create the table. Now the table has been created. Now let us run this application again. See, here it is inserting the record into the table. Now check the table here. Select star from employee info. See, here the record has been inserted. Let us add some more records. Just to change the values here. 102. Let us say here Mary something 6,000 and insert your employee object. Now, run this code again. So here it has inserted. Add one more record 103. John 7,000. Now run this code again. Now it has inserted. So in our table, totally we are having 3 records. We are having 3 records in the table. Now let us go with the next operation, update. So for update, for example, for this 101, we want to change the salary to some 9,000. So how to update now? Let me keep this code in comments. Or before that, you can display the records. Let us display the records first so that we can go with update operation and delete operation. So in order to display, let us see here, list employee list equal to DAO dot get all employees. So when you call the method get all employees, it's going to return all the records present in our table. Now traverse this employee list. You can traverse like for employee emp colon employee list, and you can just print the object emp. Now so when we run, we get the list of records on our console, but it's showing the class name along with hash code. For that, we have to go to employee class and override toString method. Public string to string. Override toString method, where we return employee ID space employee name space employee salary. Now come back to this test class, run the code again. See here it's showing the list of employees. And from Java 8 version, we can even display the employees like this. Instead of using this enhanced for loop, we can even get the list of employees using for each method like this. Emp list dot for each system dot out to colon println. So I'm just using method reference system dot out to colon println. This for each method will even take care of displaying the objects present in our employee list. So this is also going to display the list of records. Now moving to the next one. That is update employee. So what is this update employee? So for this 101, we want to change the salary. So call the method DAO dot update employee. If you pass the ID, sorry, first of all, we have to get the record, right? So for this, you can say employee emp equal to DAO dot get employee by ID 111. Now once you get the record based on this ID into this employee object, now set the values. Emp dot set salary will make it as 9,000. Now this emp object is updated with this new salary. Now to this update employee, pass our new object emp. Pass the new object emp. Now here when we run, sit selecting and updating, and if you check our table for this 101, the salary now updated to 9,000. Now let us delete now. So for delete operation, you can delete by ID also. So call the method DAO dot delete employee by ID 101. So when you pass here delete employee by ID 101, that particular record will get deleted. Sit selecting and deleting, and if you check our table, we are having only 2 records. Now one more method, that is DAO dot delete employee, and we have to pass our employee object. So how to get the employee object based on ID? Call the method employee emp equal to DAO dot get employee by ID. Let me go with 102. So I'm getting the record based on our ID 102. This record will come and store into this object. Now I'm directly deleting the employee based on object here. Now so when we run, so it's selecting and deleting. Check it here. So here we are left out only with 1 record. Okay. So we got simple exception as I clicked on this run button 2 times. So that's the reason we got this one. Okay. Nothing to worry on that. Right. So these are the operations what we have performed by using Spring Hibernate Spring ORM module. This is very important module. You need to compulsory practice this module on your systems. If you practice only, you can understand what is happening in this Spring ORM module by integrating with Hibernate. Right. So that's about in this video. Please subscribe, like and share. Thank you.